fans, I'm not even going to attempt to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you a white lie. I'm not going to tell you a partial lie. The truth is, this is likely the worst season y'all will have in the last 5 years.
Shut up the Bills! It's not a house game! It's not a house game!
Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Homie, now listen, everyone play their position. Buffalo got a tradition. They say we tripping, they better get out our way. Top of the table, we flipping, we on a mission. Got an unstoppable team, continue to follow your dream by any means. Buffalo, get in the Super Bowl ring. Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Mafia up in your city, time to get gritty. Screaming and yelling, we bugging. Look at the red and blue.
This
Stadium
is an MVP year for Josh Allen. As an MVP voter, I said this last week. Josh Allen, he looks like an MVP. When you vote for MVP, and I can speak for myself, I think I'm one of 50 voters, you look at a couple things. Who's the best team in football? Who's the best player on that team in football? What do they look like as the best player on that team in football? And how much talent is around that best player on that best team in football?
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Coast to Coast podcast. I am your co-host here, Beyond 716, and back after a hiatus of last week. And want to thank Whittle, of course, for holding down the fort. And Whittle, how you doing?
A little under the weather, but we move anyway.
We move anyway.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Just the same little bit of everything, personal things and stuff like that. But hey, just want to thank you for all your support and all that. So it always means a lot, man. We always got each other's back on those fronts. So
always.
It's amazing, isn't it? All the offseason talk we had. Jets are going to win 13 games. Miami's going to sweep us. And here we are, 8-2, almost a virtual 5-game lead in the division. And doesn't this feel like a mark in our season, right? It feels like we had one half of the season now, and there's that absolute line. Now we're going into Kansas City week. Then we got San Francisco and forward. It feels like the true season for the true players in this league starts on Sunday at 4:25. I'm not sure how you feel about it, but that's where I'm at right at this moment.
I feel like this is the first time I'm not going to say the first time this season because we did play Baltimore, we did play Kansas City. We added Amari Cooper. Keon Coleman has come on very, very strong of late. I think the defense has played pretty well over the last 4 or 5 games. Even the game against Houston, I thought the defense performed pretty well. So we're at the point of the season where you kind of want to start hitting your stride, right? You want to start getting healthy. You want to, if you have a counterpunch offensively, you want to start refining that and pushing towards getting your division locked up and, getting prepared for the playoffs and whatever matchup that may be. And we're right there. My head is like tilted weird, but anyway, so that's where we're at right now. Like you mentioned a little earlier, but you didn't really go into it. I guess you're still trying to be nice to the Jets, but after an entire offseason, like you said earlier, we were told that this would be the year that the Bills would regress. Josh Allen would have to play like Superman in order to generate offense because we didn't have anybody. I believe our wide receivers are called the Legion of Twos and Threes. Um, we were told that we may have the worst running back room in the division. Um, and how dare anybody compare? How dare any Bills fan compare James Cook to Brees Hall? They were on two different planets, and they actually are because James Cook is out of this world, and I'm not sure Brees Hall is going to still be a Jet. Uh, at the end of the season next year.
Yeah.
Um, so it's been pretty interesting. And I do want to point out, that regardless of what we do in the regular season as far as the division is concerned, uh, it's about the playoffs for us. It's about, you know, winning the conference, getting to the AFC Championship, winning that, and then going to the Super Bowl. Um, you know, there was a last year when the Bills won the division. I wasn't at first going to get a T-shirt or any of that stuff, and I had done that a couple times already. But last year, um, I think there was a T-shirt that it's a lock, right? It's a lock. So that was the division when they locked up the division. But then there was another one that I purchased, and it said the East is not enough, and I cannot agree more. The East is not enough. I want the Bills to finish the job, right? And the start of finishing the job is it comes this Sunday. With us welcoming in KC after a pretty dominant win against the Indianapolis Colts, which I was surprised about. So we'll talk some KC in a few, but as always, we try to recap um, the last game and then get into some Buffalo news. At the beginning of this year, beyond I don't know if you remember, but I had this game pegged as a loss for us
You
against the
did.
Colts.
I do remember that actually. Yes.
Yeah, and I was extremely nervous about Jonathan Taylor, their ability to run the football, their offensive line, their defensive tackles. Their linebackers, Zion Franklin is a dog. EJ Speed made a great play in the game.
Yep.
And then the size and speed of their wide receivers. Like, obviously, Michael Pittman Jr. is a vet. He's been around for a minute. But then you have a guy like Josh Downs in the slot, who I was extremely high on when he got drafted. You have A.D. Mitchell, who ran like a 4.36 or 4.34, something crazy like that. And then you have an Alec Pierce, who is just an athletic monster. I mean, the dude, his long jump was ridiculous. His vertical was ridiculous. He was a big play guy in Cincinnati. So they come in with a lot of high power weapons. Anthony Richardson, dual threat quarterback. But by the time it was time for us to play the Colts, there was no Anthony Richardson. He had been benched. Their offensive line suffered some major injuries. Ryan Kelly was out. Braden Smith has been dealing with some issues. Bernard Raymond has been dealing with some health issues, and they've had inconsistent guard play from one of their guard positions. I cannot remember the exact ones. I get the left and right guard mixed up all the time. So a lot was going on with that team, right? And we walk into that game, and I'm thinking, with all of this stuff going on, this is a game that the Bills should definitely take care of. But then you have our injuries, right? No Cooper, no Coleman. we end up losing Kincaid for a while in that game. Obviously, the issues with the defensive line, not really having Dwayne Carter on the roster right now because of injury. He's on IR. Baylor Spector went down, which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing at this point.
We could, I'm
So
going to lean towards the good, but I'll just say it for you.
yeah, I mean, Matt Collins being a little banged up, Curtis Samuel still dealing with whatever health issues he's dealing with, and it's just Josh with another hand injury. This time his non-throwing hand. So we walked into this game with some question marks as well, and we dominated the Indianapolis Colts in their building. I was impressed. I was extremely surprised. But that's where we are now. The Bills are they look like a complete team. They look like a complete team. Josh Allen had 2 interceptions. One I thought was just an underthrown pass. The other one, the one that Kenny Moore picked off, I just thought that was a great play made by a great player. I think most quarterbacks in that situation are going to throw an interception there because, he's a great slot corner. He made a great play. But we took the ball away from them. I think we got 5 turnovers that game.
We got three picks for Flacco. You're right.
Yep, and then 2 fumbles, and then we stripped. It was a strip sack. We got that, and then there was the. I feel like there was another fumble we got.
I think didn't Rapp have a? Austin Johnson had the pick.
Austin Johnson had the pick.
Taron Johnson. I'm trying to remember the.
Taron Johnson had the pick fumble. 6. There was another interception though. Was it?
There was 1 fumble lost actually for the Colts, so they had 4 total in the game. I'm trying to recall exactly who got that fumble, but at my disposal. But
the
interceptions just stood out so much.
The fumble. Who recovered the fumble? Was it Rousseau?
The fumble recovery? I think it might have been Rousseau, actually.
I know he punched it out. It was either Rousseau or Vaughn. One of those guys got there. Christian Benford had a punch out as well. I just overall, just a completely dominant performance.
DeMar
recovered the fumble.
Thank you, okay. That's right.
Appreciate you, sis. Appreciate you. I mean, I just thought it was a dominant performance. The offensive line was good. James Cook ran extremely hard, extremely angry. Part of the reason why he got the angry runs scepter this week from Good Morning Football. Yeah. So dominant performance from the Bills on both sides of the football. Even special teams, despite the fumble by Codrington. Another perfect day for the once mired kicker Tyler Bass. He was very good again, automatic. Maybe he turns the corner. Maybe he turned the corner already. I don't know. Yeah, great sign.
Yeah, definitely. So all that talk is dissipated, right? We're not discussing replacing him right now. That's a big thing.
Right. So I'm a little surprised at how easily we handled the Colts. It feels like a combination of we're a good team and they just kind of got behind and said, you know what, we don't really have a counterpunch. Or maybe it was a styles make fights type situation where we just match up really well with the quarterback that can't move.
Yep.
I don't know. But
dominant
performance.
The couple things. I mean, it's amazing that this is the first time we're 8-2 since 1993. I mean, we've had some really good years over recent years and even some in between. I mean, that's the last time the Bills made the Super Bowl, by the way, putting that into the universe. But we avoided that late October, mid-November. I'm just gonna call it like, some of our friends in our spaces, that McDermott special, right? That one game,
Mm.
the Zach Wilson game, the 9-6 Jacksonville game, right? We got through it. We're winning the games that we're supposed to win. And you're right, it was a dominant performance. It felt workmanlike at times. We got the job done. Taron Johnson set the tone right away in that game, I thought, with the pick and then the return. But absolutely, I think that's very important. And these are the kind of wins that it's put us in that position, Whittle, unlike last year where we had to fight to get to the playoffs. We had to give it everything we had. So it's going to be, I think that's going to bode well for seeding. Even if we do not come out with a win on Sunday, right? The fact that we have such a big lead in the division, I know this is something we don't want to think about going into this huge matchup, but just being real about the situation, right? We have such a big lead in the division. We may get to a spot where we're locked in at the 3. We're locked in at the 2 the last week of the season. Maybe we get another bye week and get more guys healthy. That's the key. It's we want the 1, but we also don't want it at the expense of a lot of injuries like we've had in the past. I just want this Bills team to be relatively healthy. And we got to use that word relative because we know a lot of these players are dealing with something. Unfortunately, they are. That's just a fact. So we just have to deal with that going forward. But I think we put ourselves in an excellent position going into our real tough 4-game stretch coming out, which we're going to find out a lot about the 2024 Bills when we're done with these 4 games.
That's right. Taylor Rapp had a pick. That was good to pick.
This was a good point for Nautica. Maybe we did have our midseason collapse out of the way this year against Baltimore and Houston. Maybe we just got it done early this year. So
absolutely. So we put that away. Before we wrap that up and put that to bed, I want to talk a little bit about the run defense. That's been a point of contention for Bills fans over the last however many weeks we've been hearing about that. I want people to understand, like, yes, originally, when there was a huge run for Jonathan Taylor early in the game. I think it was like 59 yards, and they ended up. I think they scored. What they had a touchdown on that? Or was that
no? They got a field goal. That was a 4-point.
That was the field goal drive. Okay,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they end up getting a field goal off of that, and whatever, right? It's fine. They got a field goal. It was a huge run. I believe Jonathan Taylor had 100 and something. What do you have? 118 total, right around there.
He had 21 for 114, average 5.4 carry.
114, right? Over half of his yards came on one play.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the other 20 carries, 50-something yards, guys. Like we gotta 56 yards to be exact, right? Or no. 59, 55 yards. Then if it was 114, 55 yards, 20 carries. I mean, I understand that we can't take away one play and make that one play go away, but the second half, the man had 7 yards rushing. We made the adjustments when we needed to and took care of business. Like you got to give a ton of credit to a Dorian Williams and Terrell Bernard, and obviously Taron Johnson was a big part of our rush defense, as well as the safeties. I think Hamlin did well coming down to the box and making plays, even though he was part of the 56-yard run. He was part of that,
and the 20-yard run,
giving up the containment. Yeah, but outside of that, like those guys came downhill and helped out. Shout out to Jordan Phillips and Quentin Jefferson getting signed to the team earlier that week, coming in and playing. Quentin Jefferson actually having a sack late in the game to kind of help put this thing away. On what was that, 4th down too, right?
Yep.
Was that 4th down? Yeah, on 4th down. To end one of their later drives. So I've been asking for more production out of the defensive tackles. We actually got some this week from the reserves. I do think uh, that we got to give a little credit to uh, Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones. I thought they were solid and
Yes.
being a little. Ed was disruptive. Daquan held at the point of attack. He did pretty well, even though he was going up against a couple of backups and Bortolini and whoever the backup. I think Bortolini was playing center, and then they have a young guard that they're running with right now. I got to give those guys credit. They did what they did what they needed to do in order to in order to allow our linebackers to come downhill, our secondary guys and third level guys to come down and make plays in the run game. So definitely a shout out to those guys. You got anything else on the Colts?
Well, a little bit on that run defense, right? Comment, and it's so weird, doesn't it feel like this year we go? If you look at the carries, right, for the team, 2 yards, 1 yard, 4 yards, 57, 3 yards, 10 yards. I'll ask this, and then I'll add a little bit more. Our DVOA is 6. We're 6th in the NFL defensive rushing DVOA. We're negative 20.5%. So it feels like we get gashed at times, doesn't it? There are moments during the season. Obviously, Derrick Henry, and he gashes a lot of great defenses. So we can't. He's an all-time great running back. So we can't look at that as our absolute. That's the only example that we all look at. So it feels like our run defense has been worse, but the numbers do not suggest it. So would you rather, as a defensive coach, like, sometimes some defenses give up 7 yards, 8 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards. We're giving up these long runs, which is troublesome, but we're also making big plays after that. We're stuffing it. I can almost live with the 50, 60-yard run at times, as long as they don't score, right? The numbers look a little crooked at the end in terms of the yards, but the DVOA suggests, hey, we're actually pretty good against the run.
Right. Yeah. When we we say this all the time, man. The Bills invite teams to run the football. We want teams to run because when we need to stop the run, we do, and that's what happens. You may break out. I think people look at the Baltimore game and think that that's how every week goes for us. Mm-hmm. That just happened to be a week where they just got a bunch of chunk runs, right? Derrick Henry and Justice Hill had a few himself. They just got a bunch of chunk runs. I'm still going to continue to say this about that game. 21-10, 2 stops after halftime. We had the football. 2nd and 7. Trick play. Trick play. So
that plays still baffled me for a long time. But that game was also on national TV, Will, so everybody saw it. And this is how ultimately we're going to be judged this Sunday as well. 100% of the country is getting this game. This will probably be the most highly rated game of the season, up to date come Sunday. Everybody's going to be watching this one, right? So it's definitely going to be another major test against a Kansas City team that is now identifying themselves more as a team on the ground as much as they are with the great Patrick Mahomes and the great Travis Kelce. So we're going to get into that shortly. So
yeah, they don't have any receivers. They just got Diop, so they have to. So we'll put a bow on the Colts. And right before we pack them up and send them on their way, A.D. Mitchell is an absolute monster.
Yes.
He's a dog. If we didn't get Coleman, he was the guy. So they got a good one. They got a very, very good one. He's so smooth. He's such a smooth route runner. He's so smooth, bro.
Aren't the Colts the definition of a team? Man, if they had a quarterback, right? You know what I mean? You've got that roster. They're good. They have a good roster, in my opinion. Like if they had an upper, I'm not, listen, everybody would be great with a Josh or a Mahomes, but even a very good quarter, if they had very good, consistent quarterback play all year, They could be a very interesting team in the South. That I think they would
Yeah,
contend
like
for.
if they had a Kirk Cousins or something like that, right? Or
Yeah,
Baker Mayfield, yeah.
or
Yep.
healthy Dak, things like that. They would probably be a much better team for
Or
sure.
or an accurate Anthony Richardson. They'd be
Well,
amazing.
just got to
Yeah.
give him a chance and let him. He's got to just work through it, just like Josh did. Just let I found them. Let him play the whole year, sink or swim. Figure out what you got in him come the offseason and give him the tools he
Agreed.
needs.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
So off the Colts now on to Chiefs week. This is a big week, and I don't care what Chiefs fans tell you. This is a big week for both franchises. It is almost like an NFL holiday because it happens every single year, at least
Yeah.
once. Over the last few years, it's been twice, and I think the record is 4-3 over the last 4 years.
Yep.
4-3
Since
advantage Chiefs.
2020. Yep.
Yeah,
Since 2020, they've beaten us 4. We beaten them 3, and they've outscored us by a grand total of 7
7
points
points.
in those
Yes.
7 games.
Yeah. So this is as close as it can get. Um, and leaning into Chiefs week, I used to like prior to this matchup, I used to feel like, man, we got to beat the Chiefs. We got to beat the Chiefs. I don't care. It's a no-win situation for the Bills. If they win Sunday, it'll be, um, well, you don't beat us in the playoffs, so who cares about the regular season? It's about the playoffs for us
Yeah.
because both of our teams are headed to the playoffs. So, it's always that. But if we lose, right, then it's, well, another good team Buffalo's faced. They couldn't beat them. Is Buffalo really as good as everybody thinks they are? That's the other part.
Yep.
I am happy to announce that Coleman has been ruled out of this game. And the reason why I say I'm happy to announce it is because I do not want to give the Kansas City Chiefs uh, a dress rehearsal for a potential playoff matchup.
Mhm.
I would prefer for them to have to rely on the film and not the experience of going against all of our guys. So they can they can deal with whatever we have available on Sunday, which may be Matt Collins, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir at the receivers, with Jalen Virgil and Tyrell Shavers as wide receivers 4 and 5. That may be it, and tight ends will be Dawson Knox, um, Quentin Morris, and number 70 is reporting as eligible. Number 70. Those may
Yep.
be the tight ends that they have to deal with. So I am quite confident though. I watched the last 2 games the Chiefs had, right? And I think I think Hopkins was a good addition for them. Him and Patrick Mahomes are getting there together as a combination. Um, Pat's not playing his best football, but gosh, man, he knows how to make plays, man. I gotta give him credit. 3rd and 4, the guy will, he'll dance around, escape, and find Kelsey for 5 yards and move those chains. Um, I don't think they run the football particularly well or efficiently. I think they run the football powerfully. And
Yeah.
a lot of that has to do with they don't have Isaiah Pacheco. I think Andy Reid's done an excellent job. That's obviously they tend to know he's done an excellent job, but I think he's been very creative with the offense despite the injuries, right? No, well, they're getting Juju back now. He'll be back for this game. But he's been hurt. Hollywood Brown, obviously he's been out, and then Rashid Rice went down. So Those are three of your top four receivers at the beginning of the year, all out on injury, and he's done a very good job of being creative, scheming guys open, and finding production from you know your Julian Watson, your McCole Hardman, your Xavier Worthy's in the run game as well.
Mhm.
So he's done it. Like Andy Reid's one of the best, probably one of the best to ever do it. So you give them credit for that. Defensively, they are formidable. Um,
Yeah.
they can get after you in the pass rush. The linebackers are everywhere. They cover well. Um, they have, I would say, between Chamari Connor and Trent McDuffie, they may have the best two interior or inside corner or defensive backs. Like those guys are excellent. I don't know if they're the best in the league, but they're close. They're very, very good. Safety plays been solid, and despite them losing their best outside corner in Jalen Watson, um, they still managed to put guys out there, and Spags has done a good job of protecting the backups with some creative blitz plays. Um, he definitely hides what he's doing. He disguises coverage very well, and they change coverage post snap very well. He sends blitzes from areas that you necessarily won't expect it. He makes the quarterback think as soon as the ball snaps, and you have to process. The good thing is we have Josh Allen, and Josh Allen has his best games. It seems like his most productive, or um, like his clutch games come against the Chiefs. He plays so well against them. So, uh, I I think that's what it's going to take. I'm confident with what we have going out there. I just want to see if Josh can take his game to that next level and maybe put the team on his back if necessary to get the W. What do you think?
Well, I want to backtrack to, this is, listen, I agree with you. I don't think this result is as absolute mission critical for the 2024 Bills. I do think the optics are important, Whittle, in terms of how we play this game, right? Let's say Cooper's out, and let's say, who knows even about Dalton Kincaid? He did not practice today, and, we're going to be without Keon Coleman. I think the key is how we play, right? If we lose a really tight game and it's back and forth, I think most experts would say, okay, that was a heck of a game. Buffalo didn't have their best. We'll see. We'll see them again in the playoffs, right? But Whittle, just to illustrate how big of a game this is, do you know how many times since 1970 two teams with 8+ wins by week 11 or earlier had played in the regular season? So we got 9-0 Kansas City, 8-2 Buffalo. So 8 or more wins by week 11 or earlier. How many times have we seen two teams match up in 54 years in the NFL? You ready? Or take a guess. Okay. You're close. This is only the 5th time that this has happened.
Wow.
So this is a special matchup, right? It doesn't happen very often that we get two teams with this level. And what's interesting about those 4 matchups, the home team won every time. I hope that's not a jinx, and what's weird is the Chiefs have been involved the last 3 times. So, with the Rams, Chiefs, remember that great Monday night game several years ago where it was Chiefs, Rams on Monday night? It was like 52-49, whatever that game was. So, but back to this matchup, I do think it is pretty important for the Bills. I agree. We have more. I think we got more to lose this game from a national point of view than Kansas City. If Kansas City loses, they'll be like, well, they're 9-1. They're the great Chiefs. They'll see them in the playoffs, right? I mean, if we don't play well this Sunday and if we struggle, they're going to say, well, the Bills' schedule wasn't as difficult now. They got these 3 tough games coming up, and they're going to hear that going into the bye week. So, but I agree with you. I'm okay with the Bills holding back. I'm glad, in a way, Coleman's going to rest. He's going to have 2 weeks. We'll see what happens with Amari Cooper, but unless he's ready, I'd rather him sit out. Like you've mentioned that before. I agree with you 100%. So, that, just these things. I do think I still want this game as a fan, right? I do think, from our point of view, this is the kind of like the new Colts Patriots. I mean, yes, Josh needs to make a Super Bowl, win one to probably take it to that truest of level. But if you think about this decade, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes has been must-see TV since 2020. So it's going to be electric. The stadium's going to be off the charts. I can't wait. It does feel like a playoff game already. So from that point of view, and the key is going to be, Whittle, how does our offensive line has been excellent all season. We got to handle the great Chris Jones, right? We got to handle Karlaftis. They got some other. The Chiefs are tough. I mean, their DVOA numbers, like you said, are off the charts. They're second in DVOA, defensive rushing, second overall, sixth against the pass. I mean, overall, this is a major challenge, and a big challenge for Bobby Babich as well. We're going to see him in the first type of game calling plays against a dynasty here in Kansas City. So it's going to be interesting to see the chess matches going back and forth.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I couldn't have said it better, bro. So I did some film review on the Chiefs and the Bills, and no, I don't have any clips this week, but I do think we're equipped to play the type of game the Chiefs don't really want to play. I will give the Bills this credit. They have since I would say since the Baltimore game, maybe the Texans game, since the Texans game, the Bills have matched the level of physicality from every opponent they've matched up with. They went and they played physical against the Jets, ended up winning. They played physical against the against the Titans, very physical against the Colts. Like they've been playing a physical brand of football, extremely physical against the Seahawks as well. They've been playing a physical brand of football, and I think it suits the current roster. That is what, and I get it's a division opponent. That's what Denver did. Denver lined up and they went after the Chiefs. Defensively, they went after them. And against and then when they were on offense, they ran the ball directly at them. They ran it, they ran the football very well when they went, north south. Now east west they ran into some issues because the Kansas City's perimeter guys are very, very aggressive. They're physical, so they don't mind coming up and tackling. But north south, yeah, that Denver offensive line, they move people around, and I think our offensive line is better. I think our running backs are better. I feel like we can go into this game and run the football efficiently and run the football effectively. And I think we will have to because there's a good chance that we go into this game with depending on Curtis Samuel and Matt Collins as the guys on the outside. So give me a healthy dose of James Cook early and Ray Davis late, right? With some Ty Johnson mixed in on third downs. And Josh go out there and make some plays. I need Curtis Samuel to catch the ball with his hands this week.
Would be good. Yes.
Matt Collins, if your number is called as wide receiver one, hey man, continue to do what you've been doing. But against the Chiefs, like I said, you can run the football. Throwing the football is very difficult because they're so good in coverage. They're so good at masking what they do. You really need to have an elite level guy to consistently get open. And the matchup between Shakir and McDuffie and Shakir versus Shamari Connor is going to be must-watch TV. I like Dawson Knox in this game to make a big play. He has routinely killed the Chiefs down the field. I think he's better than Kincaid down the field. I think him and Josh have a really nice uh, chemistry between those two. So look for Dawson Knox to stretch that defense a bit. Um, and then defensively, if you want to beat the Chiefs, you have to play man. Like you're gonna have to give the Chiefs a healthy dose. You're gonna have to give Mahomes a healthy dose of man-to-man coverage, and the pass rush has to get home. Most importantly, the defensive tackles have to push that pocket into the lap of Patrick Mahomes. You cannot give him the opportunity to step up and escape. Because the one thing about the Chiefs this year, their tackles are not great. Their rookie out of BYU, he was getting dogged by Nick Benito. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. And Jawan Taylor, he's around. I think this is a big edge game for the Bills. Rousseau, Epinesa, and Vaughn, like they could really eat if the defensive tackles do their 1/11th each. Like if they do their 2/11ths, they're gonna the edge guys are gonna eat. So I feel good. Honestly, after watching both of these teams, I feel good about Buffalo's ability to keep the ball on the ground and win down the field. Now, Worthy's speed does worry me. His speed does worry me. Obviously, Kelsey's going to be an issue.
Yep.
I'm happy to have Bernard and Terrence Johnson.
Big. Yep.
But Worthy's speed and covering D-Hop one-on-one, I don't know if that's better for Douglas, who's a bigger, little more physical. I don't think he's more physical than Benford, but he's bigger.
Yeah.
And then you have to decide, do you want to give Benford the opportunity to kind of freelance in zone coverage and not have the responsibility of covering a guy like D-Hop one-on-one? So yeah, I defensively, I think we got to give them a good mix of zone and man, preferably on long downs, man to man, and we need to send 5. Like, we need to get the ball. We need to get to Mahomes, get the ball out of his hands, make him eliminate one side of the field when he's trying to escape the pressure.
I agree. We also need to we need to keep him in check on the ground, right? You said they're a very physical team, running the football, right? We have to get some, stops. First down and 10 they run, keep them in 2nd and 9, right? Don't allow them to get 5 yards, 4 yards, 6 yards, right? Then it puts them in those manageable 2nd and 4s where they could stay on schedule and keep going down the field. A couple little tidbits I found about the Bills that I wanted to run by you. Well, I had it in front of me, but the Chiefs are number 1 in the NFL at limiting explosive plays. Now, for our purposes, that may not be a major issue. I don't feel like our offense is quite as, quote, explosive as it used to be, right, Whittle, in terms of big plays, but they're not very good against empty sets, right? They're 26 in EPA per play against empty formations. So I wonder if we'll see a little bit of that coming Sunday or not, maybe from Joe Brady. We'll see if that's something that they try to exploit maybe on their defense. Quote, again, you can't always love the
Josh would love that.
I'm not sure if we have that. And that's maybe the shame of not having all our personnel for this game, that we could maybe work on that a little bit more. But that's just something that I found interesting that I wanted to throw out there in terms of the strategy we'll see. So we may see a little bit more of that this week than we may expect early. If we do, I think I'm going to remember that stat, and then that the Bills are paying attention to it.
Oh, and there's no Pacheco. Pacheco's already been ruled out for this game. So it'll be Hunt and and the kid out of UCLA, Carson
Your
Steele.
guy,
So
Carson Steele, Draft Crush, Carson Steele. Remember?
yeah,
He was one of those
yeah,
guys we
man.
liked. Yep.
I really liked
Jeez.
him a lot, bro.
Yeah. Yep.
But so like you said, Babbage is gonna have his hands full. He's going up against one of the best of all time in Andy Reid. Um, what a great week to explore those combo coverages, right?
Mhm.
What a great
Yep.
week! What a great week to have a guy like Benford maybe in man to man against Hopkins, and let's throw a zone on the other side to allow a guy like uh, Douglas to roam underneath and make some plays on the football. This is going to be must see TV, which is
Yeah.
why it's the 425 game, which is why CBS is not giving it up, which is why we have Romo, who's going to be gushing all over Josh and Patrick the
Yep.
entire game. Um, Last year, this game ended on a well, it didn't end on, but the Chiefs actually scored a touchdown, but it got called. They scored the touchdown off of a pass to Kelsey, who then
Yep.
lateraled the ball to what's that guy's name?
Was
Kadarius
that
Toney.
Kadarius Toney?
Toney. He walks in to score. It was a huge play. I was pissed. Right? I remember
Just a
I
little.
was at Stone and Rail in
Okay.
Glen Rock, New Jersey, with the
Okay.
the North Jersey Bills backers,
Nice.
and I was angry. Okay, but it was a great play, and you have to just like I respected it, but I was so pissed, so
Mhm.
pissed. But it got called back because Kadarius Toney was offsides.
Yep.
Um,
Was the right call.
And yeah, it was the right call. They end up not scoring, and we end up winning the game. We get a stop on fourth down to win the game. So,
Mhm.
nice to have Taryn. It's nice to
Yep.
have Bernard. And oh, baby, in a few weeks, we will add Matt Milano to that. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Milano's practice 21-day window has been opened. He is going to be back. I think he'll be back for sure for the San Francisco 49ers game.
Mhm.
Hopefully we get Coleman and Cooper as close to 100% for that game as well. That is a Sunday night football game.
Mhm.
I want that game badly. Okay?
I know you
I
do.
wake up to a 49ers fan every single day. I want that game. I want it.
Yep. And then
Okay?
other
'Cause we
Niner
right in
fans,
the
we
right
know out there. Other Niner
Yes.
fans, I want all these games. I mean, we have Kansas City fans that we all know that have invaded our spaces over many, many times.
Oh,
That,
yeah.
we
Oh,
would
yeah.
love to get back at them, for
Absolutely.
this game. So, little tidbits about this game.
Okay.
Weather doesn't look too bad, Whittle. 56 degrees. About the wind does not look like it's going to be a problem. So, looks like from 425, you never know. This time of year, all bets are off in Western New York, and I know our listeners out there that live there know exactly what I'm talking about. So
Yep.
we could get a blizzard. I think the week after they're supposed to get some lake effect snow. So we're just missing it, for this game, coming up. So shouldn't be much of a big deal. I mean, it really doesn't matter with these two teams to me. And so I mean we're moving on. I mean, looking at the injury report from today, it's quite long, but I feel like there's a lot of full participants and limiteds right on that list, Whittle. What's your
Yeah.
gut feeling about Amari Cooper? Do you think he is going to play on Sunday if you had to handicap it?
I do. I think he's gonna play. They showed they have footage of him in practice catching footballs with the cast on.
Mm-hmm.
I think he plays. I don't know how much he plays, but I definitely think that they throw him out there some just to give Josh um another reliable option because Kansas City pass rush, man, like they get after guys. So we want to protect the quarterback, and the way you do that is by getting the ball out of his hands. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm okay with that.
And you always brought up a good point about when we first got Amari Cooper. It's just his presence alone sometimes, even if he's not producing. Like you could say, oh, well, Amari Cooper only had 3 catches for 20 yards. Did he have a great game? Well, what kind of impact did it? Did he open things up for some of our other weapons? So
Right.
just his presence alone could be good. Now, Dalton Kincaid did not practice. What's your gut feeling on Dalton? Is there anything you're hearing in terms of that?
I don't think he plays. I think Dalton's out
Yeah.
for the I don't want to say foreseeable future, but I don't think he plays. I don't think he plays this game. I don't think he plays. Uh, nah, I don't want to say he doesn't play. He may not play next game, but I do think he's at least out for sure
Mm-hmm.
this game. And maybe after the bye week and a week leading up to Niners Bills, he's maybe he's good to go. I don't know, but
That may
I think
depend
he's
on the
out.
result this week too. If we win and we have a bye week, maybe being McDermott say, hey, we're 9-2. We got a major lead in the division. I know we want the 1, but we're looking great for the 2, right?
Right.
So you got to think long term. They say, you know what? At a conference game against San Francisco, not quite as important for the tiebreakers. So let's just give Dalton another week. Then we got the Rams after that, I believe, and then Detroit. So we got 3 straight NFC games after that too. So it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
how that goes. It may hinge on what we do on Sunday, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So there are some underlying injury concerns that the Bills do have. But we'll see if Quentin Morris can step up. I mean, Quentin Morris has had some moments where he's come up with a couple big plays. So I know, thinking about one of our space regulars, and you know, that's the first person that always comes to my mind when I mention Quentin Morris's name. But listen, we'll see what he can do. I mean, sometimes there are players on this roster when they get the opportunity, they've stepped up, right? We saw it. Yeah, we saw it with Mac Hollins this past game. I mean, he had an excellent game. It was nice to see some life out of Curtis Samuel. Hopefully that gets him going too, right? Still some issues, but at least it was good to see him get a few catches and see him out there in space a little bit. So see if that maybe ignites something from the Samuel that we were hoping we got when we signed him this offseason.
Yep. Exactly. And you know, hopefully he builds off of what he's already done. That'll give us another reliable target to, another reliable spot to get production out of in the playoffs. Um, and it takes some of that pressure off of Shakir, some of that pressure off of Keon Coleman. Um, so we'll see. What do you think? How do you think this goes Sunday? Score prediction.
Well, okay. So we're in the score prediction. Whittle, I've gone back and forth on this game a lot, right? And I think this speaks to what we talked about earlier, right? Just, I mean, 3-4 against the Chiefs, grand total 7 points between these 4 teams. Both quarterbacks, yes, they make their mistakes at times, but yes, both quarterbacks bear down when the game gets bigger late in the games, right? You mentioned how Josh is on prime time, and like you said, Mahomes, he had 2 picks or he's got 180 yards past him, but then you watch the end of the game, like against Tampa Bay, you do that when that coin flip hit, that game was over, right? That's the kind of quarterback we're dealing with here. You have to go out and beat the Chiefs. Are not going to beat themselves late. That's the one thing that they don't do. They run their offense. They run, make their plays on both sides of the ball. And you got to go out there and actually take this from them. I mean, that's really the way I see great teams. They don't. Sometimes they don't always rise to the occasion. Sometimes they just maintain their high level, right? And the other team makes a mistake. We talked about our game last year, right, in the playoffs, right? What happened? The big, the missed touchdown that we had, the missed field goal, certain things that we missed, right? If we make those plays, if we step up, maybe we have the Lombardi in our case right now. I mean, that's how close this sport is. But I know I'm in circles on that. But as far as this game goes, Amari playing would make a big difference, I think, for me. Again, he may not get that 8-9 catch game we're thinking, but just gives us that extra threat. No Kincaid. I think I agree with you. I think Dawson Knox can make more plays. I'm more confident in that. I'm not as doom and gloom about Kincaid being out as maybe some others would. Very tight game, close game, great atmosphere. electric. You know what, Whittle? I'm going to go Bills by 3, but I'm 20-17. But I think it's a coin flip. I really do. It's really tight. But I just want to say to our listeners, do not have a doom and gloom if we lose. It's not. It's a big game. Don't get me wrong, but I think I'm curious to see the way we play them. Right now, if we get blown out and it looks really bad, that may be a different story. But I think we come out with a win. But I'm about 52-48 in terms of confidence. How about you, Whittle?
Um, so the Chiefs, in my opinion, have not looked great all year long. They've been able to put together some really great defensive plays. I think the defenses look good pretty much all year, but offensively they've been inconsistent. Um, they've had sporadic play from Mahomes, no Pacheco. I think it's huge. No Rice. I think it's huge. Uh, Kelsey, Kelsey's Kelsey. He's always going to be that. Hopkins, I think he's getting more comfortable in the offense. And Worthy, I don't know. I mean, he hasn't really made the impact. I guess some expected him to make at this point. I just don't know if they get it going in Buffalo, uh, in a hostile environment. History tells you, when Sean McDermott loses to a team, the next time he sees that team, um, the Buffalo Bills come out victorious. I think that remains that. I think it remains that way this time as well. I'm gonna go 27-23 Buffalo. I think we catch this one by 4. I think we get a fourth down stop. Um, I'm gonna say an errant pass, not necessarily an interception, but I think Vaughn makes a play late and helps us to secure this win. Like I said, man, that their tackles are not their tackles can be had. Um, I think Ed plays pretty well against Kansas City. We're due in an Ed game, so
Yes, we are.
this is definitely, yeah, this is it. I think
And
this is it.
and Vaughn wasn't on the score sheet last week in terms of sacks or anything, but he had a couple plays. He was getting close. So hopefully we'll
Yeah.
see some of Vaughn this week as well off the edge. And this is the kind of matchup that we signed him for. This is exactly
Yeah.
why we brought him in to go up against the great Mahomes. So let's see if we can
I'm
definitely.
hoping for health. I'm hoping for health more than anything. I
Yeah,
would
let's
love
see.
a win, but I would prefer to get out of this game just healthy and not lose anybody that
Yep.
we're gonna need for the stretch run.
Yep.
So,
And again,
you ready to put a bow on this thing?
I am. And the biggest thing, Whittle, is I want one of two things. We need a bye week somewhere, right? Whether it's the 1 seed or 2 or 3 seed at the end of the year where, let's say we're playing the Patriots, ball cap Josh, Mitch Trubinsky, right? Ray Davis is in, right? All the backups are in, right? Nobody's playing, right? That if we get one of those 2 things, I'll sign up for it right now. Obviously, we want the 1, but it's all about, to me, making sure we could get some rest at the end of the season. So, yeah, so
Fair.
we could put a bow on it for this week. And listen, it's go time. The season officially starts. I mean, the big boy season, as I call it, right? The big, the ones at the table, at the main table, right? All the other, we quote on pretenders, they're out, right? The ones that we heard from all off season that we're going to throw in the Bills. I mean, we're at that table. So it really
The
doesn't,
defending off-season champs.
right?
Yeah.
Jim Nance, and Tony Romo. Say what you want about Romo. I love the energy he brings. He just loves the game. I'm good with it. He gets quirky at times, but hey, it's okay. I can live with it. It's why we're fans, right? So
Yeah.
I think he appeals to a lot of different fans, and I think that's what it's all about. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great atmosphere for anybody going to the game. I'm jealous. And away we go, Whittle.
All right. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate it. As always, go Bills.
Go Bills. Have a good week, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Beat the Chiefs.